Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Tuesday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and man, what some breaking massive news we just got within the past hour. One of the top prospects in this year's NFL draft will be visiting the Steelers this week. We'll get to that in a second and see how realistic that may actually be. The Pittsburgh Pirates, pretty much stepping on their own feet again when it comes to angering the fan base. First, the Roberto Clemente sign in right field, and now this tiny bit of Pittsburgh Penguins news as well. Happy Paul Skeens Day as well to all of you Pirates fans who celebrate. But we are going to get right into the breaking news that just came down a matter of minutes ago. That breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, is Shedeur Sanders will be visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. The number 2 quarterback prospect in this draft class. The first being, of course, Cam Ward, who at this point is pretty much a lock to go to the Tennessee Titans at number 1. But beyond that, everything is up in the air right now. Initially, it was thought that Sanders was going to be a top 3 pick, either going to the Cleveland Browns or the Tennessee Titans. Now it's looking more and more like the Browns are leaning towards taking Abdul Carter with the number 2 overall pick, or Travis Hunter. After that, the Giants are going to take either of those 2 guys that the other one that the Browns do not pick. So Sanders, beyond the Browns and Giants, who still could be considered quarterback needy teams, they're looking to go elsewhere with their first 2 picks. Beyond that, there's not really many people left for Shedeur Sanders to go to. Gonna speak on that in a little bit. Adam Schefter was the first to, not the first to say this, but pretty much laid out the path for Shedeur Sanders moving forward. I want to believe that this all is just, the media conjuring up ratings here between now and the draft here, and I believe 16 days. But this is getting to a point where it can't be ignored. On almost every major NFL podcast or TV program that I listen to, you either have Sanders being linked to the Steelers at 21, or for the longest time, and still right now, you have Jaxson Dart being linked to the Steelers. I want to start there with Dart because NFL Network had a graphic on this morning where they took their 6 top analysts and what is happening with Jaxson Dart in those mocks. And in each of those ones, only 2 out of the 6 had Jaxson Dart going somewhere else other than Pittsburgh. I believe the 2 who had Dart going to, I believe, the Saints and maybe another team was Chad Reuter and Lance Zierlein. But what worries me the most is that their top draft analyst and Daniel Jeremiah, he had Dart going to the Steelers at 21. Same with 3 others as well. Now, my thoughts on Dart, they have gone up and down like a roller coaster over the past couple of weeks. On one thought, I'm thinking, sure, it would be nice to have a young quarterback, a possible franchise caliber guy to sit behind what will most likely be Aaron Rodgers this year, take a redshirt year, learn, lifestyle in the NFL, and then see what you got next year. On the other hand, I'm thinking, why not? Let's just hold off, stick with Rodgers for this year, hold off, pick a quarterback next year when the draft is in your city in 2026 in what is said to be a stronger quarterback class. Now, I mean, is Dart good, if not better? Is Dart as good, if not better, than some of the guys coming out in next year's draft? Yes. But would it be smarter you're going to have all those comp picks? Hopefully you're going to have 4 third rounders if Russell Wilson and Justin Fields play up to their full potential. So would it be smarter to hold off until the draft is in your city next year? You have the draft capital to move up in the draft as you see fit and take a bona fide blue chip guy like Drew Aller from Penn State, or hopefully Arch Manning from Texas if he declares for the draft? Also, yes. So, yeah, I mean, with all that said, the apparent free fall of Shedeur Sanders down lots of mock drafts lately, that opens up the question about if he'll be available for the Steelers when they pick. Like I just said, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter said today to Ty Schmidt of the Pat McAfee show that right now, looking at how things, reading the tea leaves, it's either Sanders goes to the Saints at 9 or the Steelers at 21, barring some team like the Giants or Browns trading back into the first round with their early second round picks. If I had to, take a guess as to what most likely would happen, I would say, and granted, this is based on if the Cleveland Browns were smart, which we all know they are not most times, but um, if you're the Browns, you take Travis Hunter at the second overall pick, and then you trade back in and you take Shedeur Sanders later in the first round. But right now, it's either the Saints or the Steelers in the first round for Sanders, for true quarterback needy teams. And now we sit here and we can argue about if Sanders is a better QB prospect than Dart. In some cases, Dart is, in others, Sanders is. But what we can't ignore is the pedigree that Sanders had. We all know his dad, Deion Sanders. We all know what he did in the NFL. So Sanders literally has in his DNA NFL experience, NFL talent, and he grew up in those locker rooms. He knows what NFL life is like, and he's got his dad right there to help lead him through every part of the process. I mean, we can talk about, is he really mobile? No. Does he hold the ball way too long? Absolutely yes. Is his arm talent hit and miss? Yes, but we can't ignore that he's Deion's son and that he has, that NFL culture already built into himself. And like I just said, now he's going to the Steelers this week on a visit at some point. Jaxson Dart, he visited with the Steelers on Friday. Noah Strackbine of Sports Illustrated was the first to report Sanders going to the Steelers this week. So I'd want to give proper credit to where it's due. Not seeing many people do that on Twitter right now. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this. I think Sanders, and Dart, they're both long shots to become Steelers by this time here in 16, 17 days. If I had to guess off of a hunch, what I want the Steelers to do, going off of Mel Kiper Jr., ESPN draft analyst, what his mock draft was today. Steelers taking defensive line in the first round, most likely going to be Kenneth Grant from Michigan, Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, or Derek Harmon from Oregon. Love Harmon. I think he's like a mini Cam Hayward, who what better to learn from, who better to learn from than Cam Hayward. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think. And I mean, we can go into depth more on Shedeur Sanders and Jaxson Dart. I've already done a deep dive into each of them. Sanders, 23 years old, little over 6'1", got decently long arms, almost 32 inches, 9.5-inch hands. Last year at Colorado, 13 games played, a 74% completion percentage, over 4,000 yards passing, 37 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Also had 4 rushing touchdowns as well, but not much yardage. So those were pretty much quarterback sneaks and, red zone runs and whatnot. He did take 42 sacks. Again, that's his big Achilles heel, holding on to the ball too long. So you got to wonder how much of that will translate to the NFL. Will he continue to hold on to the ball too long? And a bunch of his passes in college, I think, would have been picked off in the NFL. So going over all of those statistics right there, you got to wonder where Shedeur Sanders' talent begins and where Travis Hunter, one of the best draft prospects that we've seen in years, him bailing Sanders out, you wonder where that ends. So really, you got to juggle, was it all Travis Hunter, or was Sanders actually, good to lead that, was actually, one of the main driving forces of that offense. And Sanders, pretty much anywhere he went, he won. 2023 All Pac-12 honorable mention. And then in 2024, second team AP All-American, first team All Big 12, Offensive Player of the Year in the Big 12, and also a Davey O'Brien Award finalist. So, and also, just some player comps I've ran into here, Teddy Bridgewater and Michael Penix. Looking at Jaxson Dart, younger than Sanders is, 21 years old, taller, 6'2" even, not as long of arms, but same size hands. 13 games played, just like Sanders, 69.3 completion percentage, a little bit more passing yards, still over 4,000 passing yards, a little bit more than Sanders, but less passing touchdowns and less interceptions, going against much tougher competition as well there in the SEC. And he took almost half the amount of sacks that Sanders did, was only first team All SEC as well. So, and, I think a lot of people are souring on Dart, seeing how his player comps right now are Gardner Minshew, Bo Nix, and everybody's favorite Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback of all time, Kenny Pickett. So, very interested to see what you guys think about Dart or Sanders being, a Steeler. Hopefully, if I had to run the draft, I'd say hold off, take Drew Aller or Arch Manning next year, but can't ignore the fact that the Steelers' first round pick may actually be a quarterback, in that it's not some media driven narrative from 200 feet out from these national talking heads. 3 of you in here right now. Appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live. Also, feel free to like and share this stream and comment in the live chat where we can get some interaction going. Gonna real quick stay with the Steelers, but shift over to some other top 30 visits. A bunch of them have been coming across the ticker lately. There was 4 of them on Thursday, 4 of them on Friday, and I believe 3 more took place yesterday. Today, 2 were confirmed to be in the Steelers building. That is SMU defensive tackle Elijah Roberts and Ole Miss corner Trey Amos. Amos, their corner, I'd like to think that the Steelers are going to be taking at least one corner in this draft. You have Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay, and at least a little bit of depth behind them. Brandon Echols, Corey Trice, James Pierre as a special teams guy. But you need, if there is a knock your socks off corner available in this draft at any point, you got to take them. So Amos, probably not going to be a Steeler when it's all said and done. He's going to be a late first round, early day 2 pick, if I had to guess. Meanwhile, Roberts, don't think he's going to necessarily be your top pick for the Steelers to add on the defensive line, nor your first. So I think if the Steelers, once they get, a legit defensive tackle taken care of, you can get Elijah Roberts, who's, a guy who can work all across the defensive line, mainly set up as an edge, and he could probably provide you some special teams uses as well. And I think that makes 17 of the top 30 visits for the Steelers now completed. Also, Steelers have a local visit scheduled this week with Pitt safety Donovan McMillan. McMillan probably going to be a day 3 pick when it's all said and done. And I thought there was one more here as well. Maybe it's the Shamar Stewart one from yesterday, but I covered that already. Stewart, I think that's also going to be one visit for the Steelers that isn't going to see him in the black and gold in this draft. So Shedeur Sanders going to the Steelers after Jaxson Dart. That's going to be the third QB to visit the Steelers. Just going off the top of my head here, you had Tyler Shuck, who visited with the Steelers earlier in this draft process. You had Dart visit them on Friday, and now you're going to have Sanders at some point this week coming to Pittsburgh. Beyond that, most of the pre-draft visits for the Steelers have been running backs at, I think, 5 right now, and 6 or 7 defensive linemen for the Steelers. And the rest, I think, you've had 3 or 4 wide receivers. You've had a pair or 3 of corners as well. So, yeah, just think the Steelers are showing their cards that, hey, if there is someone other than a running back, other than a defensive lineman available at pick 21, we're going to take them. But they're really varying. They're really varying out their draft board there, meeting with guys who are bona fide day 1 picks, some day 2 picks, and day 3 picks as well. And again, these pre-draft visits, you do take them very seriously, because the Steelers over the past 2 drafts, they've taken 4 guys that they have pre-draft visits with in 2023, and last year 6 of their 7 picks they met with in Pittsburgh during the pre-draft process. Going to take a quick stroll through Twitter here, see if there's any more news on Sanders that we do not know about currently. Again, I do not think that this Shedeur Sanders news has any, tells us anything on the Aaron Rodgers debate. I mean, you're meeting with Sanders, maybe to draft him, but to also set a foundation for a relationship and possible working relationship in the future. We're still waiting. Tomorrow night's the big night. Aaron Rodgers. We're on Aaron Rodgers decision watch tomorrow night at the Pat McAfee big night at PPG Paints Arena. I will be there in attendance with my father, so may do some video work there to give you guys a first person POV of the show. Maybe Rodgers comes out WWE style with a big reveal wearing Steelers gear, holds up the contract that he just signs it there on the stage, maybe. I know that's a bunch of fanfare that the Steelers probably would not care for, but then again, this is Aaron Rodgers, who, for a guy that hates the media, is probably the most flamboyant QB of this generation. So no more news, just Jordan Schultz here of Fox Sports adding on to the report of Sanders scheduling a visit. Steelers remain very interested in Aaron Rodgers, and the hope is an agreement eventually happens. But Pittsburgh has done extensive work on this year's QB class, and Shedeur Sanders is now scheduled to be in the building on Thursday. So that is an official day right there. Jordan Schultz, the first, to my knowledge, to report that it will be Thursday. Man, wouldn't that be a hell of a day for news right there? Aaron Rodgers possibly showing up to the Pat McAfee show on tomorrow night, and then Sanders in the Steelers building the day after. Real quick, just going to touch on some other Steelers news as well. Only one story today for, Steelers news. The Hard Knocks series that the Steelers and the AFC North were a part of on HBO, that was nominated for a Sports Emmy for long form writing. Alan Saunders, Steelers beat reporter, reported that today. So do with that information as you will. And this one isn't really Steelers related, but it is AFC North related. So I'm going to report it if it really piques my interest. Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins, one of my favorite running back prospects for the Steelers. He is visiting the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow after visiting with the Texans yesterday and before meeting with the Broncos later in the week. That is Ian Rappaport reporting that. So I hate the idea of Judkins. The Bengals, they also met with Trevion Henderson, the other top running back in this class from Ohio State. So you got Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton as the consensus top two backs in this class. And then below those two, you got the duo from Ohio State, Judkins and Henderson. And I hate the idea of one of those guys possibly being in a Bengals uniform next year. Going to shift gears here over to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Only going to talk really quickly about last night's game. Bucks did win. I believe the final score was 8-4. Carmen Majinski went 5 strong innings. Good second start in the rotation for him. And then Thomas Harrington, the rookie, came in out of the pen to get a 4 inning save. Bucks did pretty well with the bats. They came in bunches in 2 separate innings. I believe it was a 4-run 8th inning that really iced the game away. So not much of a heart attack or, much to complain about last night's game. But there is a lot of complaining still going on off the field. If you haven't seen my live stream from yesterday, I encourage you to go back and watch it yesterday, talking about the Clemente Wall debacle. This Pirates putting up a advertisement on the Clemente Wall and taking down the logo on the padding there, the Clemente 21 logo. Fans were up in arms about that. Roberto Clemente Jr. and his family said in a statement that they had no knowledge or, hey, what's up? This is going to happen about that after he released that statement. Pirates president Travis Williams said that, we meant no disrespect to the family. It was an oversight on us and that the logo will be put back. Well, Travis Williams probably got more on his plate to worry now, because I've heard, rumblings of this yesterday and a couple of days prior, but now it has been confirmed. The Bucco bricks, the bricks outside the stadium on the sidewalks, dedicated to Pirates fans and to those who helped contributed to the building of PNC Park and, really important figures of, Pirates history supporting the team. Those bricks are now gone. We've seen pictures during the off season of a bunch of, fences, sort of blocking everybody's view of the sidewalks and the entrances of PNC Park. Well, we now know why those fences were up. The bricks with all of those fans and contributors' names on it, those are now gone. It is now just a plain old slabs of sidewalk, gray sidewalk outside. And the thing is that nobody knew where these bricks went. There was no, kind of like the Clemente thing, there was no memo or, statement from the Pirates saying, hey, we're doing this. These are, going to be taken out. And they didn't even, let the public know or offer, if there's people with their names still on those bricks, no offer to maybe buy those bricks back or, something along those lines. So they were taken out during the sidewalk repairs. And there was, the Pirates said over the winter, this from KDKA, that they were exploring options on how to display them. But that turned out to be a big old bold face lie, because other Pittsburgh news outlets, they found the bricks piled up in Reserve Township, and looking at the pictures on my screen right now, they are just thrown out there, some of them broken apart. They're like common rubble, just thrown all around, not neatly stacked or taken care of in any way, shape, or form. And again, this is just the Pirates being going through an absolute PR nightmare right now and having absolutely no common sense or connection with the fan base whatsoever. I mean, you're just going over the past week now. Opening day was a disaster. You got blown out by the Yankees. Fans were booing some players and manager Derek Shelton. Bob Nutting was getting heckled to sell the team. The Clemente Wall situation, banners saying sell the team flying over the stadium. And now on top of all that, you have the bricks that have gone unceremoniously been taken out of the ground and thrown away like common trash. Just absolutely horrific incompetence and lack of care by the Pirates organization right now. And, this is really, we've been low on the Bucks for years now, but this seems to, be an all-time low for the Bucks organization. The team is, 4-3-7 to start the year, 4-7 now, I think, after last night's game. But, you're at the bottom of the division. I think the Reds are down there below us now, but you're at the bottom of the division. You did nothing all off season. Opening day was a disaster, and now this. And yeah, things just are as low as they can get for the Pirates. And for the most part, they're bringing it upon themselves by not giving a care in the world about winning or the fan base. Hopefully, the Bucks are able to take, or at least I think management is hoping that the public's attention gets taken off of this tonight, and there's a good chance that happens. Of course, first pitch going to be going on here in about 45 minutes. It is, again, a happy Paul Skeens Day to all of you who celebrate. Bucks lineup tonight. Jaxson once again. Actually, Jaxson in the leadoff spot. I think that's for the first time this year. He'll be in left field. Brian Reynolds back into the lineup after the night off yesterday, again, as a DH dealing with that injury. O'Neal Cruz batting third in center field. Ke'Bryan Hayes, he's been bouncing all around the lineup. He's still at third base, but he's going to be in the cleanup spot here tonight. Been swinging a good bat. Glad to see that he is looking healthy and seems to be having some sort of renaissance. Batting fifth, how this dude is batting in the fifth hole, I have no clue. And Manuel Valdez playing first base. Tommy Pham in right, batting sixth. And then your bottom three of the lineup, kind of status quo for the past couple of games, but their positions have varied. Endy Rodriguez, Adam Frazier, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. So it'll be a Skeens Day. Sonny Gray will be on the bump for the Cardinals. So both aces for each of these NL Central teams will be squaring off. Should be a good pitcher's duel. And while I'm on the topic of the Bucks, I almost passed this by. Ethan Houlihan, who tracks the financial situation of the Pirates really well. He came out with a Google Doc last night breaking down what he is seeing in the finance departments for the Bucks. And to sum it all up, shout out to Jim Rosati for pretty much putting out these graphs here to make it more easier for the common folk to understand. Going head to head with the report from DK Pittsburgh Sports that the Pirates were losing money, and this whole thing right here set off a massive Twitter feud last night between Dejan Kovacic and Noah Hiles from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Basically, the DK report said that the Pirates spent a little over almost $123 million in payroll last year, while Houlihan's calculations brought it down to 105. The draft and international bonuses, DK said, was $26.5 million, while Houlihan had it at $22.5. And this one, the big one, this is complete and total polar opposites between the DK Pittsburgh Sports report and Ethan Ullahan's calculations. DK posting that everybody knows now that the Pirates lost $2.2 million in net income and revenue last year. Meanwhile, Ullahan said that the Pirates were not only in the positive, but that they were in the positive by a good bit at $19 million in income. So who you want to believe is up to you. Ullahan has been very, very accurate in the past with Pirate payroll calculations and whatnot. But then again, you also have DK's report, which he was adamant in the report that he spoke to local bankers and former workers of the Pirates, maybe a couple current workers for the Pirates as well. I can't remember that part definitively, but you got two pretty reputable Pirate reporters and coverers going at it there. So I'll leave it up to your own devices to believe who you want to believe. Another quick stroll through Twitter here. Not much other news here. So Sanders visiting with the Steelers, that's pretty much taken over my feed. Not really getting any more new information on it. Got an Instagram story here from Ole Miss corner Trey Amos, who was reported to be in the facility today, taking a picture of the Steelers Super Bowl championship trophy display cases. So, all right, going to move real quick. Just hit on the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pens are again in action tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. The second half of a back-to-back that pretty much nobody wants to see. But hey, two draft lottery teams. Who's going to out tank who? Blackhawks, they are in a pretty decent second place now to the San Jose Sharks for best odds at the number one overall pick. This offseason, meanwhile, the Pens are currently in 8th. Matt Nieto, forward for the Pens, was up with the Pens earlier this year and then got put on waivers. Ultimately got sent down to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. He is back with the team on an emergency basis. That news came across this morning, and the reason why was because not only is Phil Tomasino going to miss his second game with an upper body injury, but Blake Lizotte was off the ice this morning with a day-to-day upper body injury, according to Mike Sullivan. So Nieto is back up just in case, one more person, just so the Pens can fill out the lineup here tonight. Same top six: McGroarty, Crosby, Rust, Koivunen, Malkin, Raquel. And if the lines from this morning's skate hold up, you'll have Connor Dewar, Kevin Hayes, and Danton Heinen as your third line, and then an absolutely fourth line of Matt Nieto, Una Koppanen, and Noel Acciari. So, Mike Sullivan just going through all the updates he gave Tomasino. That upper body injury was actually updated to a concussion. Blake Lizotte, day-to-day upper body injury. P.O. Joseph was on the ice before the morning skate, will not play. Tommy Novak also still out. And Tristan Jarry will be in net for the Pens after Alex Nedeljkovic played 2 nights ago against the Blackhawks. Also, real quick, just hitting on some loose notes here. Do want to say congratulations to Jerry DiPaolo of the Trib for on his retirement, covering the Pirates and Penguins, Steelers, also some of the college teams in Pittsburgh forever. So congratulations, Jerry DiPaolo, on your retirement, and also like to express my condolences to the family and friends of Greg Millen. Millen, this statement from the Penguins, passed away yesterday. Condolences to his family and friends, was a Penguins goaltender and NHL broadcaster, was with the Penguins from 1978 to 1981 to start his career. So rest in peace to Greg Millen, and condolences and prayers to his family. And this is interesting here, ladies and gentlemen. We have some breaking news here. We have some breaking news here related to the Penguins. So this just 3 minutes ago from NHL insider Elliot Friedman, Penguins prospect who was acquired in the Jake Gensel trade from a year ago, Chaz Lucius, announces his diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and retirement from professional hockey. Newport Sports was the first to report this, posting a statement from Lucius. We would like to congratulate Chaz and his family on all his career accomplishments and wish him all the best in his next chapter. The statement reads, "It is with great disappointment that I am announcing my retirement from playing professional hockey. Recently, I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, which is a hereditary disorder that affects the connective tissue that stabilizes and supports the joints and organs throughout the body. As I struggled with incurring and recovering from various joint injuries over the past several years, I had thought I was just unlucky. With this diagnosis of EDS, I now realize that my body impacted by EDS could not handle the physical nature of playing hockey. Given this condition, my injury history, and the physical nature of hockey, I have been medically advised to not continue to play. I have been fortunate to have incredible support from my family, friends, and the Winnipeg Jets organization." Oh, then who was I thinking was the Pirates prospect, or was the Penguins prospect? I think that was a rumor back then, so my fault, not a member of the Penguins farm system, but still, though, that sucks. He was, a pretty damn good prospect. I remember him, in some of the prospect rankings, but sucks, another young career in hockey ended too soon. So thoughts and prayers to Cruz Lucius and his family, or Chaz Lucius and his family, excuse me. I think it's Cruz who's his brother, so I misread that as Cruz when it was Chaz. Yeah, Cruz Lucius, his rights belong to the Penguins, so I wonder if that's his brother? Yeah, brother, Chaz Lucius. So Penguins prospect Cruz Lucius's brother, Chaz, has retired from hockey. Okay, Cruz and Chaz. Mistakenly read that. My apologies. But still sucks. Congratulations on your career, Chaz Lucius, and hope you do well in your next chapter in life. Scrolling here, not seeing too much there for other news related to Pittsburgh sports. So I think I'm going to call it a stream there. Pirates game getting ready to start here within half an hour. Penn's also on tonight. So with that, I want to say thank you all for joining me here tonight. I will say right now that there will not be a live stream tomorrow night. Of course, probably around this time tomorrow, I will be en route to PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for the Pat McAfee Big Night at. So I will see you guys back here on Thursday for a recap of Pittsburgh sports news. Hopefully then we have some clarity on the Aaron Rodgers situation. We'll talk about almost surely talk about Shedeur Sanders visiting with the Steelers some more. And also we'll talk about Penguins and Pirates with what happened in their games as well. So with that, thank you all for joining me. I'll see you back here on Thursday. Like, share, and comment this stream. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live. Appreciate you all for joining me. Have a good rest of your night. Let's go Pens and let's go Bucks. Have a good one. Peace.